Alrighty, so as we're going along, Matthew, UFC 279. Now, this was billed as Diaz versus Chimaev. However, some things happened, and when I last saw it, Friday night, somehow the event name changed. Matthew, can you walk us through that really quick?
Okay, so what happened was it was supposed to be a welterweight bout between Nate Diaz and Rising, who's, an established star, and Khamzat Chimaev, who is a up-and-comer.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was apparently the doctor was concerned about Chimaev's health, so he basically told him to stop cutting weight. So on health recommendations, Chimaev stopped cutting weight and stopped at like 178. Welterweight is 170. So Diaz made weight, but what happened was I'm not sure who was supposed to face who, but what happened was they reshuffled it. So Tony Ferguson, who's normally a lightweight, I guess he was either going to fight someone else or was far enough down in weight to where he stepped up and to face Diaz at welterweight. And Kevin Holland, with whom Chimaev was already having a beef with, was also agreed to step in and face Chimaev at a catch weight of 180.
So originally then Holland and Ferguson would have fought.
I'm still trying. I wish I'd spent more time paying attention to the fight card leading up to it to figure out who was supposed to face who. And
yeah, I'm looking at the website right now for the official fight. But it's only showing the updated version. It's not, obviously it's not going to show who was, originally the original fights.
Okay, Tony Ferguson was originally scheduled to face Li Jinliang in a welterweight bout. I think he still fought. Yeah, he ended up fighting Daniel Rodriguez. Oh, that's why that catch weight was reshuffled. I'm pretty sure that did Rodriguez miss weight?
So there was a lot of
Okay, Kevin Holland was supposed to face Daniel Rodriguez at a catchweight, so they're already planning on that. Chimaev was not fined due to the new booking. Rodriguez.
That's because he was medically stopped. He was not.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you contractually did not catch the weight, then that would have been something else. But so
yeah, he said that he felt that he could have made the weight if he'd been allowed to continue weight cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Nate. So Ferguson was gonna go up in weight anyways. Okay. And face Li Jinliang, and then Rodriguez and Holland were gonna fight at a catch weight. So Jinliang was reshuffled to fight Rodriguez, and Holland was reshuffled to fight Chimaev, and Ferguson was reshuffled to fight Diaz. So 3 different fights were reshuffled.
All right. Well, so Matthew, how much of the fights were you able to watch?
I was able to watch all of them, all of the all of the ESPN to pay-per-view prelims. I was able to watch all of those.
Okay. Well,
So but just to check back, let's see. There were a few other missed weights. Let's see.
Yes, I think we saw a third catch weight.
Let's see. Irene Aldana was supposed. I think they were supposed to. I think she and what's it called?
Irene Aldana and Macy. I think is this.
Let's see. Let's see. It was supposed to be a bantamweight fight.
Mm-hmm.
But according to source to the news, it was changed to a catchweight, not due to a weight miss.
Oh, okay.
So there were extenuating circumstances. How? Let's see. Now let's see. Was this 220 catchweight? Was that related to? I'm not sure if that was related. Oh,
I see another one.
There was another reshuffle, and that was reshuffled. That was made a catchweight due to a late replacement. So what happened was, this has to be a record for the number of catchweights. Other misses were actually due to weight misses.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
Hakeem Dawadu missed weight, which is why that fight was fought at 149.5 when it was supposed to be featherweight. And Chris Barnett missed weight against Jake Collier at heavyweight.
Wow.
These are not like big muscular heavyweights everywhere. I mean, there's no other way to put it. These guys are fat.
Mm-hmm.
They have no reason why they should be missing heavyweight of all things.
Interesting. So Matthew, let's put it into perspective then. So looks like this heavyweight catchweight bout did end with a knockout. Chris Barnett, but
the guy missed weight.
But he missed weight, so he had to forfeit part of his purse.
Yeah.
So he got that in there, and then you had in the middleweight bout, Denis Tulyulin from Russia got a knockout over Jamie Pickett, and that also came in the second round.
They did note that Tulyulin had a point deducted due to groin two different groin shots, and I saw those. That was definitely a case of, movement happens, and what you're aiming towards either the midsection or the thigh, and the guy moving results in a cup hit.
And then
but it just turned on a fire on him, and he was just like, okay, I need to finish this guy. I don't want to give away a round, so.
Jelton Almeida, performance of the night with a submission over Anton Turkal. And then you had Hakeem Dawadu versus Julian Erosa, with Erosa getting a unanimous decision win.
I really like those fights when the missed weight guy loses.
Okay, yeah, it happens. Yeah, but it shouldn't happen too many times.
No, it shouldn't. It really should not.
No. So anyway, all right, and then the main card. So the first of the really, it was the only match that I guess was unaffected, right? Which was the first match on the main card, the light heavyweight bout.
And it was unaffected by anything that was happening.
So Johnny Walker scored a submission win over Ion Kutalaba from Moldova.
Yep.
So Matthew, how did this round seem to go? Was it dominant? Was it kind of equal for?
It was pretty dominant. Walker went in there. He did takedowns and he did ground and pound, and it's when you do that, that's what eventually leads to the that's what eventually leads to the setup where
setup,
if the guy's on his back and he's taking shots, he eventually rolls over, and that's what eventually leads to the submission, the rear naked choke.
All right, and then we had then the first catchweight bout of the main card, and Irene Aldana scoring a knockout over Macy Chiasson. And this was at 2:21 in the third round. So when you were watching this, did it seem equal, or did we have split rounds being taken here?
I feel like it was a split. I'm trying to remember who took one and who took the other, but it was not or the Chiasson win both rounds. I feel like Aldana with the striking was able to win the first round. The second round was Chiasson with the grappling. Mm-hmm. And the third round was going Chiasson with the grappling.
Until Aldana got the hit in?
Yeah, from her back, heel kick to the liver.
Oh, okay.
It has to be one of the most impressive knockouts from the person's back. She was on her back. Chiasson was standing up, and it looked like a from the back axe kick, but yeah, she threw a heel kick and it just delivered just right. And one thing to remember, you hit the liver just right, then the liver can take a lot of punishment, but it's like if you hit a person just right, it's not going to function for a second. Just everything shuts down.
Everything on you shuts down. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just like Chiasson just crumpled to the ground from the standing position, and the ref just went in and waved it off. Irene started to get up but didn't follow up or anything like that. So it's rare to see a finish from the back.
Well, to my understanding, I mean, I've only I think someone had posted a highlight reel, and I think that was one match where one guy delivered two nasty kicks to his opponent's chin, and he was basically done, and you could hear the kick connecting, but I think that he had the mouthpiece in there, so if he didn't have the mouthpiece, man, he'd probably be missing a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
And then I think there was another fight that the fighter got the kicks in and it wobbled the other guy. To then he got up and started doing some ground and pound to finish it. So to my knowledge, there was only one actual KO with a from the bottom.
Yeah, this was more of a TKO, but yeah, there's but it's
an actual finish right from the bottom. The action doesn't continue after the hit. So that's interesting how that went down then. So then our second catchweight bout looks like Daniel Rodriguez got a split decision win over Li Jingliang. And so it seems like this fight kind of it went the distance obviously, but then it seems like one judge saw it one way and the other judge saw it the other way.
The second round was the close
decision maker.
Yeah, the close decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like that went one way or the other.
Right.
They probably could have called that fight of the night. I don't know why they didn't give a fight of the night. But they probably took that money and just gave it to the 4 finishers is what happened.
Okay. Yeah, because I think we also have. Yeah, if I'm looking over the card, there were 4 Performance of the Nights awarded.
Yeah, so what'll happen is if you don't have any fight of the nights, they'll take those bonuses and give them they'll redistribute the
Because I
performance.
think a Performance of the Night is usually 50K, right?
Right.
And then a Fight of the Night is 100K. Is that correct?
No, it's 50K.
Oh.
It's 50K to each fighter.
Okay, yeah. Performance of the Night will go to
both fighters, yeah.
Is that no? Fight of the Night goes to both fighters, but a Performance of the Night goes to one fighter.
Right, goes to the winner.
Right, goes to the winner. Okay. So, with that being said, then you got into the co-main event, which was Khamzat Chimaev versus Kevin Holland. So, Matthew, can you run some history into this beef that's been going on between the two?
My understanding is it started this weekend. They basically were throwing stuff at each other and squabbling on
That's a
on media day and then weigh-in day.
That's a pretty quick beef to start there.
Yeah. I'm gonna note these two guys. I don't know if I'd like to say maybe in maybe other publications it might have been this case as well, but for MMA Freak at least, these two guys the past 2 years have been consecutive breakout fighters of the year. I'd like to say Holland might have been last year and Chimaev might have been the year before. It was either way, it was these two guys. You know what? I have my notes right here from last year, so there's an easy way to figure this out.
So, I mean, looking at it, though, the fact is that, I mean, Chimaev pretty much went in and finished Holland pretty quickly. I mean,
yeah,
submission and, not even halfway through the first round, so he must have got something in good, right?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Chimaev was last. I'm getting my years mixed up. Chimaev was 2020, and Holland was 2019. I got a little off, but yeah, these. Well, yeah. What happened was Chimaev is a wrestler, so he went in and he. Holland is more of a stand-up fighter, so he went in there and wrestle, ground and pound, wrestle, and yeah, and eventually he got that Darce choke, and it was funny because as he was saying it up, I was thinking, at certain angles, it looks like it would be better as a guillotine, but he just kept with it and didn't burn himself out. The problem with a choke, especially like a guillotine choke, is that if you keep doing it for too long, eventually your arms are going to burn out because you're using so much muscle. Whereas something like a Darce choke, if you're a little bit smarter with how you do it, it's not going to burn out as much. That's a general problem with submissions in general.
I'm looking at the stats, and there was not a lot happened, at least what you would see. Chimaev landed a strike. He attempted 5 takedowns, in which he scored 2, and then he did 2 submission attempts. So, looking at
it was all grappling,
right?
That's the thing. Chimaev is smart enough because he's finished. If you look at his record, he has plenty of finishes by knockout, TKO. So he has the power, but he knows his strengths and his weaknesses, and he knew that Kevin Holland was a better striker, so he took it to the ground. Now, how he would have done that with Nate Diaz, I have no idea, because of course Nate is good in both areas. He's got he has a legitimate pro boxing record, and he's also got and he's a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And he has cardio for days. He does triathlons on his own. So it would have been interesting to see, because Chimaev does have, like I said, he's got the power. He has a striking background. His specialty's in wrestling. So it would have been interesting to see how that fight would have gone. But either way.
Well, hopefully maybe he can do his weight cutting a little bit better.
There's talks about, because he's a big guy for a welterweight. Of note, Kevin Holland also has fought at welterweight before. So it's, some people were suggesting maybe he should just consider going up to middleweight, and I see him winning. If everything else goes right, he could win the belt at either weight class. I really do think he has what it takes to take out Israel Adesanya, which I do not take lightly, because Israel Adesanya is a very gifted guy. And Leon Edwards has yet to solidify himself as champ. He just beat Kamaru Usman in a fight that he was losing. So, but again, Chimaev I think Chimaev could have beat in his prime Usman. I think he's that good. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, whether he decides to actually try to smartly cut weight, because Khabib, remember, he had weight issues too, but he eventually became champion. So,
well, Matthew, the main event, and this one was on its way to going the distance. Nate Diaz did get the submission over Tony Ferguson, and have these two fought before? I mean, because I remember watching Tony Ferguson fights when we would go to, go out and go watch the fights together.
This is an interesting thing, because this is one of those things where they've kind of been swimming in the same pond, and Nate's bounced up between welterweight and lightweight, and Tony has, for the most part, been at lightweight. This is one of his few ventures up to welterweight. So it really did, they've been circling the pond, but they've never gone head to head, and it finally happened. El Kukui had his moments, but I felt like Nate was kind of already controlling the round for the most part, up until he was the finishing sequence where he was able to and the thing with Nate is because he's a older school BJJ guy, he's not the type of guy who will initiate a takedown. He's more the type of guy who will try to work off either work off his back, or if the opportunity comes where he knocks the guy down, he'll go in, and if he sees a submission, then he'll go for the submission. This is the situation that happened here. But what happened was they went into a grappling exchange pretty much, and Nate was able to secure the submission, and he pulled it off. Of note, brother Nick was in his corner.
Right.
And I don't know if this is because maybe his contract has expired, or maybe because he just wants to take the time off, but he's been saying that he wants to try other ventures, and he hinted towards maybe making a run towards boxing.
Interesting.
Which, like I said, he's got a legit, I keep saying, one of the Diaz brothers has a legit boxing record. I'd like to say both of them, but I might be wrong. Okay, I was wrong. It's got to be Nick then who has the legit boxing record.
Yes, I think so, because I'm looking up the two, because I was trying to remember which one fought Anderson Silva.
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick's slightly bigger to the point where he can comfortably fight at middleweight.
Right.
Where it kind of made more sense.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's interesting. So anyway, but yeah, that's kind of interesting that they hadn't fought before.
Yeah, you'd think that two fighters like that would.
Yeah, that have been around for quite a
Yeah,
while.
they've been around for Nate. I think they've both been around in the UFC 4 decades. Nate's been here longer than that. So they're both Ultimate Fighter alumni. Both won the show. So you'd think that with being around as long as they would have, that they would have eventually have fought, but that just wasn't the case.
Yeah. So anyway, that's interesting. So Matthew, what are we looking at for possible upcoming UFC events?
In terms of the results of this fight card, or you talk about next week?
I think just in general, how are we looking in terms of because I think they've been trying to, because we don't have a next actual pay-per-view
We do.
until late October.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. Sanhagen versus Song. I believe Song Yadong is another Chinese guy. This is another one of those fight cards where, it's a mix of some established people trying to kind of build themselves up versus mostly up-and-comers.
Yeah, they've got quite a few, and I'm looking.
Well, that's the point of the fight nights, is to, get some veterans who kind of need to go in there, and the up and comers opportunities to fight each other. That's pretty much the point of the fight nights.
Yeah, I'm noticing also that the fight nights are at the Apex.
Yeah, they're just playing it safe because things could change. We're still technically in the pandemic. Things could change in the snap of a finger. So I think they just like to play it safe because it's like they spend a whole lot of time in the Apex. It's a secure venue. They could just do behind closed door event if they have to. So and they don't have to pay any kind of overhead. So aside, they're already paying for the building, so they don't have to pay in case anything goes on. So that's kind of the point of the point of the stuff at the Apex, is that it's just it's secure, it's stable, and it's like I said, if they had to go with closed doors, they that's just what they would do. So that's kind of. I think it's just, they're just playing it safe. Occasionally you have a UFC on ESPN or a fight night go to a more secure market. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's, they just play it safe.
All right. Well, let's close out then the UFC 279 review. Just one thing before we do go, I did see on Instagram. So Carlos Arana, who is he's an alumni of Santa Ana College, and he actually made the finals his sophomore year. So he was an All-American under Coach Silva, and he was actually, I'm looking at the picture he posted. He was actually one of the people in Irene Aldana's corner. So the picture and everything. So Matthew, I think if you would have seen them taking pictures and stuff, he would have been the person on the far right. So,
okay. Well, Aldana, I forget where she does her training, but she's literally a Mexican fighter. She's from Mexico. Yeah. Most of her training, I think she does in is it San Diego? I think it's done somewhere in the USA. I'd like to say San Diego. I might be wrong.
So anyway,
a funny thing about Irene Aldana, I've always referred to her both in my head and in some other stuff as the Warrior Queen, even though that's not what her official name. Because she just, to me, it's like, to me that looks like what, like, to me she's like the personification, like the balance of beauty and like, like, yeah, the balance of like beauty and like, fighting strength, or whatever you want to say it.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, shout out to Carlos Goku Arana. Great job for somehow getting into the UFC, being in Irene's corner. So,
Hey, I had a teammate who was also in a corner. Jake Thornton at one point was Tyrone Woodley's boxing coach because he did MMA, he did boxing, and then he was on the wrestling team for I forget how many years. I felt like it was 2.
All right.
And he was one of several guys who knew that, I had crushes on some of the ladies of the wrestling team, so he would kind of tease me about that.
All right. Well, Matthew, let's get into the big event that happened for me over this weekend. Shall we get into it? The US Sumo Open 2022. So, Matthew, let me see here. So, yeah, weigh-ins were Thursday and Friday night. So, I went on Friday and then got a little bit of some exercise in and stuff. And it was at Long Beach State, the Walter Pyramid. And suppose it's been there except for the 2 years of, the pandemic that's been going on. It's pretty much been there at the pyramid.
Didn't they hold it at like a dojo during those 2 years?
So yeah, I think the 2020 they held it at a dojo, and it obviously the attendance was way smaller than normal.
They had attendance?
No, it was closed door.
Yeah, I was gonna say because
it was a closed door event in 2020, and then 2021 they held it at I think it was held at a Budokan in Little Tokyo. What was the it was at 2021 Terasaki Budokan, which was in Little Tokyo.
I didn't know there were any Budokans in the US.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there were about 50 wrestlers that came out to compete, and then as you're probably aware, there was quite a few. There were a few countries. You had wrestlers from Mongolia. You had an Egyptian team there. You had a team from Poland, and then you had individual competitors from places like New Zealand. You had also Japan, Hungary, and Puerto Rico. So a lot of here and there. So that was interesting. And as you know, I did compete, and you got to how much what did you think watching how the events were unfolding on the live stream? And we'll get to my wrestling shortly, but just how everything was.
I was very interested about the lightweights who. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm actually talking with a friend about forming a club, and I looked at the Orange County. I don't know if we've talked about it on this podcast, but I looked at the Orange County Sumo Club, and I kind of thought, I think it'd be a good idea to model it after that. And then I looked, and because USA Sumo is actually a private company, but I looked at I guess it would be the equivalent of like Matman for wrestling, where it's kind of exclusive to that sport. But I looked at I went to the US Sumo Federation website, and they said that if you have 3 registered members in your club, you could register it as an official club. Which, as I recall, looking at like not even your gym is registered. The one that you go to in Torrance, it's not registered as a club.
So yeah, no, not that gym specific. The you're talking about the venue that they use, right?
Yeah.
Because the Yama Dojo is supposed to be is supposed to be the club, and
Okay.
you
Well,
know,
that's not registered either. But then again, the calendar year starts in September, so maybe it just hasn't, maybe the registration just hasn't gone through.
maybe I know that. So I know one thing is that so if you're saying that their calendar year is starting in September, and I think actually, for most sports that seems to be around September, seems to be around that time, probably to coincide with the school year is.
Well, yeah, because with USA Wrestling, the membership starts and ends in September.
Right, because I was trying to see if I couldn't do like some early registration, because I think what I'm wanting to do with USA Wrestling is to try and I probably will sign up as an official, because I'd like to, that way I can get into some events. But then I'd also like to sign up as a wrestler too, so that I can participate in some of those as well.
Can you do both?
Yes, you can do both. I think you can do both. So you might be, and depending on how things are going, you might be able to, not necessarily for USA Wrestling, but, maybe if the opportunity does present itself later down the line, that might be something to consider.
I don't know, because it's like, and I still need to talk to the West Hills, because like I said, they're trying to create a training center and stuff like that. But it's just, so far it's just there's not a whole lot of wrestling for, as we said, for essentially for the masters category, which is what we fall under around here. There's more opportunities for you in Southern California because you're in an area where there's just a lot more wrestling. The only wrestling in my area is in Fresno. I know, and I know for a fact, because like one of the fighters, one of the more notable fighters in in the 559 fights, which I go to on a regular basis, and I cover for MMA Freak, one of the fighters fights out of a wrestling gym. So if I want to go, like half an hour or like 45 minutes to an hour drive up to Fresno, I could do that. But, gas is high right now,
Yep.
and I'm about to start a new job, which, there's just a little too much with that regards. But here's the thing with sumo is, I could start it anywhere.
Yeah. And you
like I said, I looked at the what's it called? I looked at the I looked up all the things with US Sumo Federation and stuff like that. It's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just generally all around a lot easier to register something with USA Sumo. You don't even need a solid venue in order to register your club. You just need your individual memberships, and you need an area. There's not a whole lot that needs to be done in terms of registering with you as your club with the US Sumo Federation.
Well, and to practice, I mean, you technically don't even need an actual dojo to practice. I mean, it helps.
Like the US Sumo Club, they practice in parks on the beach. It's just
Oh yeah, in Orange County. Yeah, I've visited their IG, and I've seen them that's how they set it up and stuff. Which is interesting. Anyway, but
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start looking at MMA gyms, and I'm gonna look at MMA gyms and martial arts gyms, which actually there's a decent number of them around here.
Well, yeah, I mean those are more prevalent.
Yeah, and I'm gonna start talking to them about maybe negotiating something, some kind of a deal.
Yeah, like renting for an hour or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know if that's what
that's what they do. That's what Yama Dojo does. Yes.
Okay. Oh, so Yama actually is in charge.
Yama and then Andrew, who's the director of the US Sumo Open. Yeah, they work together, and they rent from the current venue.
Have we talked about Yama on this Instagram on this podcast yet?
Oh, we haven't talked a whole lot about Yama yet.
Yeah, well, why don't you mention that? Because he was also at the.
Yes,
US
he was
Open.
at the event. I'm sure you saw him, right? And Yama, who when he was in pro sumo was Yamamoto Yama. So and he was on record the heaviest Japanese sumo wrestler, and I think to date also, because funniest thing is that the heaviest pro sumo wrestlers have all been non-Japanese, foreign.
Yeah, that well, like for example, the heaviest top division, Konishiki, is Samoan, and he came from Hawaii.
Right, and I think he tipped the scales at 626, and then you had Aurora, who was
from Russia,
600 and gosh, I don't know. He weighed a lot.
And of course, the heaviest amateur is the late Emmanuel Yarborough, tipping the scale at 800 pounds.
Yeah.
The heaviest recorded athlete on record.
But, the fact he was able to do the shiko and stuff, the leg lifting, he was able to do that. There's videos of him doing that.
He just had, it's like he just had a freakish, like, body structure in which he was somehow able to hold all that weight and still be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, so the heaviest athlete.
And let's be honest, the Big Show does not count. He's a pro wrestler. I don't care if at his heaviest he was 800 pounds. It's like, no, you are not an athlete. You're a performer. You've never done any kind of athletic competition.
Did he? No, Big Show? No, I don't think Big Show ever got to 800 pounds, did he?
He had one, at his heaviest, he was, I think, towards 800 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, but
he must have like let go.
He was tall. He was taller than Emmanuel Yarborough.
Well, right? Yeah, Big Show's a tall guy, but I think the heaviest I'd ever heard him being at was like 500 and something.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I know that at one point they were calling him the heaviest active athlete, and that was when Emmanuel Yarborough was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
But Emmanuel Yarborough, towards the end, I think he lost, because he floated between 600 and 800 pounds. At his heaviest, he was 800 pounds.
Right.
But I think he lost some weight towards the end. I mean, it sadly still killed him, but I think towards the end, he'd lost a couple hundred pounds.
Well, because let me see here. Yeah, because Big Show.
Now with AEW.
Yeah, see, the heaviest Big Show got billed at was 500 pounds.
Okay, well, maybe at the time they just called him the heaviest active. But he's not an athlete. He was never an athlete. Well, he was a football. Was he a football player or basketball player? He did something, I think, at the college level, but he was never, at his heaviest, he was never an active athlete. He's never done any competitive weightlifting. He's not like Mark Henry. He never. He wasn't an athlete when he was 500, tipping the scale 500 pounds.
Yeah. So let's get back to Yama then. So he was a.
Do you wanna mention the little quirk with his both his shikona and his nickname?
You mean aside from the fact that his name is supposed to be Yamamoto, I think, right?
Yama.
Oh yeah, well, Yama means mountain, so yes. And
That's
why
what I
he
was
was
getting.
Yamamoto Yama was his real name is Yamamoto, and then so he's the and then yeah, they put the mountain at the end because of how big he was. And yes, so he tipped the scales at 584 pounds, which is, no one's really close to that, in terms of and he was able
Yeah,
to,
like
so he
isn't
was,
the average sumo rikishi nowadays like walking around at like
you know,
two something?
no, they're walking around probably like 310, 320. I mean, there was one point where these guys were getting really big, and I think the average weight had been somewhere probably around 380. There was a point where there was a lot of big guys. Easily they were getting up to 400 pounds for some of these guys, really tall too. Um, so yeah, I mean Yama, as he's now called, he was the mountain, and he was actually a collegiate champion, also collegiate sumo champion, and then he reached the top division. So, and he did win a couple of lower division championships also. And then after he retired, though, that's where he really kind of, began his, post sumo career has been interesting because what he did first was, I guess he wasn't really content with staying in Japan, so he made some appearances. He would make some appearances on foreign television shows, variety shows and stuff like that. And then I guess his big break when it came to being over here was the fact that he appeared opposite Keanu Reeves as an assassin in John Wick 2, trying to take out John Wick, and even using some sumo moves against John Wick. The tachiai. Matthew, I don't know if you've seen that scene or not. Yeah. So that was interesting. Anyway, and he participates. He still keeps in touch with sumo, obviously. So he serves as the head judge at the US Sumo Open, and then he runs the Yama Dojo. He helps people who want to learn about sumo out here. So, and they I know that. So you got Yama Dojo, and then you got Honu Dojo, which is down in San Diego, and they'll have collaborative practices going too. So Yama pretty much knows everyone who comes around, and then people who will come from out of state or come from out of country. As you saw, again, we had people from, there were individual competitors from like Hungary, New Zealand, Australia, and then Japan. And Takeshi Amitani is actually his kohai from his collegiate sumo days, and he was the one competing in the same weight class as I was in the middleweight. And so Matthew, I think when you were watching the matches, what did you think about all that was going on?
The heavier weight guys looked like traditional sumo. Um, I didn't get a chance to stick around and watch the what's it called, the light heavyweights, because because there were only 6 guys, they just put them all in a bracket.
Yeah, they put them in a round robin.
Wait, what?
So because there were only 6 light heavyweights, they put them in a round robin.
Yeah,
for the final round. So they did round robins preliminary for the lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight, and then they did a single elimination bracket for the championship rounds for those weight classes. But in the case of light heavyweight, they just did a round robin.
Now, I'm sorry, I didn't stick around because I went and did other stuff. But for heavyweight, how many guys were there?
Heavyweight, there was, I think in total there were 13 had weighed in, but one of them didn't show up. So in total there were 12 heavyweights that competed.
So did they do? so there were 2 groups of 6.
There were 2 groups of 6. Yep. And then they had the top 4 from each pool advance to the final, the championship round.
I find it interesting how there were about as many heavyweights as there were lightweights, but there were less middleweights, and then, like I said, only 6
even less light heavyweights. Yes.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that that's how it went.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm gonna be honest. I watched a bunch of the maybe I need to just get more practice in shape, but I was watching how the guys were how the guys did things in the lightweight division. I'm just thinking, I think I can beat these guys.
Yep.
That's why I'm gonna start my path to the US Open next year is starting relatively soon. But a little bit of a problem I had, the friend of mine with whom I'm gonna start practicing, he's shorter than me.
Well, here's my suggestion to you, because I've been doing this when I'm not going to. So I'll just go outside my apartment and I'll do some exercises out there. And one of the things you definitely want to do is just do the Shiko.
I did that last night.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
How many?
In our living room.
I find doing it outside is better because if I'm sweating, and I was sweating, I think, what was it? Sunday night I was doing the exercise. Man, I was just sweating and.
Well, the problem is you need to get some kind of actual real world experience, because it's like, because looking at these guys is one thing, but actually doing it is another. And like I said, my friend is my height, so I'll be able to get some experience with some guys who are like a little bit shorter and who would be able to go in like that. But when it comes to like the taller, skinnier guys who I think made up most of the lightweights, I'm gonna need to actually get some experience, because here would be my game plan with those taller guys. Basically go low, do a wrestling style, slap the arms up, and
that's what Yama's been telling me to do. That's what Yama's been telling me. That's what Takeshi's been telling me too.
It looked like you were trying to do that in your actual matches, but
those middleweight guys, man, they were like, they were very, very.
It looked like you would probably be able to do better with the.
That's my goal, because
the lightweights are one of two things. They're either shorter and stockier, or they're these tall, skinny guys. And the tall, skinny guys, you don't have a lot of power.
Josh Crook, who is one of the lightweights, the really, really tall white kid.
Yeah.
You saw him, right? Did you see him fight?
Yeah.
I have problems with him because he's very long. I can get in under him. I can get a Morozashi, but man, he's tough to maneuver around because of just how tall and lanky he is. Yeah, it's a tough one, but
obviously I'm drawing from another experience, but my thought is, you know what? I dealt with these tall, skinny guys in wrestling all the time. I'm just thinking, I think I can, I'd be able to adjust that. But again, I need to go and get experience, and then, as you said, those times when we come down there, maybe find the opportunity to, go with you to the Yama Dojo practices. That would probably be the best way I'd be able to get that practice in, unless, when we become a little bit more active, we're able to find a guy who's, a little bit taller, who, might be able to fit into that, helping me out in that regard.
So yeah, here's the first match. So I'm gonna screen share. This is the first match I had, and I was able to, one of my teammates was able to record it. So let me just get this one here really quick. So can you? Let me see here. So can you see this one?
Another thing I'll say, I'm surprised again that this is the US Sumo Open, and there's most of the over half the guys are not from the US.
Well, because so here's the thing: you've got the US Sumo Open, but then you've got the US National Championships, and that's for that's basically the World Team Trials of US Sumo. So this is
But it doesn't help doesn't help that like last year or no earlier this year when they held it, it was in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I mean, and they got tournaments in other places too. I hear Dallas is a big hub for sumo.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So anyway, let's watch this first match really quick. So this was Ruslan, and he was actually from Russia. Anyway, so I don't know if you can hear any of it right now, but here's how it went. So I tried to get in, but yeah, he just bulldozed me out. And,
he didn't even try grabbing a hold of you. He just pushed you out.
Yeah. It was, well, it was my first match, so kind of maybe had a little bit of ring rust on there. They didn't get the second match though, unfortunately, which was the one against the bodybuilder.
Wasn't that a tad bit more competitive?
Well, I think my last match in the open weight, that was the competitive one. But let me get you the one with the
this is cringeworthy.
This is the match. So
didn't this guy win the tournament?
Yes, he did win. He did win the middleweight. He faced Takeshi in the final. Here's how it went. So I hear Mom wasn't too happy.
She was not.
Yeah.
She basically said that he punched you, but from where I saw it, I was just like, nope, he just went slap.
Yeah, it was, and I'm looking at, I can see it. It was an open palm, and I think he got me. I think right here on the temple. People are saying he got me here, but I really felt it up here. So I think when he got me, he was, doing he just did this. I didn't see it coming, but anyway, so yeah, I was lying down on the on the ground there for about.
You were there for a few minutes.
Yeah, a few minutes, and
we thought you were legitimately knocked out.
Yeah, I was not knocked out, but I was in a excruciating pain with the big headache, and I'm trying to just regain my senses and stuff like that. So that was that one, and actually, I don't know if you were able to hear any audio coming through, but if you actually do listen to it, you can hear the slap. You can hear it pretty good, and a lot of people were telling me that they could hear it. So that was the Egyptian knocking me out there.
I feel like if it had to be that hard palm.
Yes.
Where it that's had to have been what it did it.
Mm-hmm. So this was, and then here's the open weight match. This was against JJ, who is from the Hanu dojo, and
wait, wasn't he in lightweight?
He was a lightweight, yes. So.
Oh yeah, this is far more competitive. Oh, but he got a hold of the Mawashi first. I feel like you would have done better if you'd actually grabbed a hold of the Mawashi first.
I did get a hold of the Mawashi, but then he maneuvered and got in a better positioning.
Yeah, he kind of got like to the side and just...
Yeah, he got to the side and stuff. I mean, overall, I think this was a good
learning experience.
It was a good learning experience and stuff, and just kind of showing me where my limits are right now. And the fact of the matter is, you know, I mean, I think we both know that we're a little bit out of it, and but you know, hey, this is something that's doable.
But the thing is, you know, it's like in order for you to be competitive, you need to drop like 13 pounds because you weighed in at like 200.
So when I stepped on the scale, and I closed and everything. So I stepped on the scale. I was 209. I weighed myself on Sunday, I think, and I was 206. So I've gained some pounds. I've been eating, you know, a little bit of a Taco Bell, Del Taco, Jack in the Box, Carl's Jr.
Well, like I'm
So
walking around at like 181, so
I mean,
I'm there.
you've got that, yeah. You got some wiggle room, but you probably don't want to chance it. So my goal for next year.
Well, I'm not going to. My plan is not to gain any more weight. If anything, I'm probably gonna try to lose weight.
Yeah.
Too bad there isn't a weight category below that, but
like ultra lightweight. So, but you know, again, I liked it, and you know, there was obviously the fun matches were the heavyweight matches. That was some pretty good ones, and I think the brothers had some good ones. Gilberto and Angel, those are the guys up in you know, Bakersfield.
that you're gonna give me my contact info.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you Gilberto.
I don't know how that's gonna help me because two heavyweights, it's like that's still not the body type that I need to practice against. It's like you know, to me it's like I saw two body types. Like I said, with lightweight, there's the shorter, stockier guys, and then there's the tall, skinny guys.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find someone who I could, you know, practice against who's taller and skinnier because
you do need to find a tall, skinny person.
Yeah, because I need to be able to get that experience going against someone of that and being able. Because I know exactly what I have to do to be successful.
Let's get Dad into this.
I know exactly what I have to do in order to be successful against those guys, but I need the practice.
Let's get Dad into this.
He was already saying that he didn't want to do that. Well, I guess doing some basic stuff.
I don't blame him. There was actually, I think there was a guy, I think, who was 50 years old in this thing.
Oh yeah, that's another thing we should mention is the fact I'd say the average competitor in this tournament was in their 30s.
Yeah, they were.
It was pretty impressive that, you know, the enthusiasm is of these, you know.
Yeah, because we all want to get out there.
I noticed that the tallest the highest placing heavyweight and open weight guy is also the US representative, the US
talking about Jose?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jose Galindo. Yeah.
Wait, did you say Jose's one of the Bakersfield guys?
No, that's Gilberto.
Okay.
Yeah, Gilberto and Angel are the brothers.
They're known as the brothers?
Yeah, that's what they're known as. They're the brothers.
Well, we need to make a name for ourselves as well. Let's become the lightweight brothers. They're the heavyweight.
All right. Well, yeah, it was good fun. Again, I really, you know, I enjoyed it for, you know, just kind of being there, being with everybody, and got some goals for next year, and really going to try and rock it, you know, and we both know what we got to do if we want to be competitive for next year, and yeah.
You know, this is something that we could definitely get more into because aside from you know, losing, you don't have to lose as much weight to be competitive. If we tried to do freestyle or Greco, we'd get massacred.
Yeah.
Because we're not at that training level, but then on top of that, in order to realistically be competitive, we would need to cut down to, and that doesn't mean we can't do some tournaments. It just means that, you know, it's like we can't really expect, the reality is we can't really expect to be competitive unless we get in major shape and lose weight. We're not really going to be competitive. This is another thing entirely. We can be competitive at this.
Yep.
I don't know if we'd ever make the world team, but we could be competitive at this. Like the US Sumo Open is one of the top amateur sumo tournaments.
It is.
Like,
And I mean, this is basically a world tournament.
Yeah, so
yeah. And that's one thing that was being pointed out to me is, it's like people are dumb. Don't feel so bad because you got people who some of these like Muhammad, the Egyptian guy who won the middleweight. He's a medalist at the World Championships. So
it's I saw there were multiple world medalists.
Yeah.
So
this tournament's not a joke, but I think for us to be competitive, we need to be in that lightweight. Yep. So.
Well, again, for me, it's not a big deal. I'm already at lightweight.
So I got some work to do. I got some work to do.